Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org for more info, or you can always email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And on the line with us today, we have Don Hodor. We'll be discussing his fantastic book, Welcome to Excitement, Belief, and Control, available for purchase through Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, Target, Walmart, guys, wherever books are sold. But if you want to get everything that Don has to offer, do yourself a favor and head directly to his personal site, excitementbeliefcontrol.com. There, not only will you find more information on Don himself, you'll find more information on this fantastic narrative, as well as find hyperlinks set up to take you to the purchasing page. So one more time, that's excitementbeliefcontrol.com. And I will say, Don was brought to our network, People of Distinction, today by some of the best movers in the business. Author Reputation Press Publishing. So if you have a book that you'd like moved, do yourself a favor and contact ARP. And you can find out more information on them at authorreputationpress.com. And guys, listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Don here on the line. The moment you go to his Amazon page, his Barnes & Noble page, you go directly to his personal site, and you start to do any research on the book, you understand exactly what we're going to be discussing today. Now, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I've always been someone that is, always looking for ways that I can improve myself, right? As we all should, but how often do we do that, right? And success stories are always around, right? You just have to search for them and you have to find them. And Don realized years ago, because this is a culmination of stories, a culmination of success stories from people he's met throughout his lifetime and his journey, and truly is a rags to riches story. Now, if you're someone that is looking for a self-help book, you're looking for more information and more ways, more techniques to establish yourself and continue to grow and develop your own rags to riches stories, this is the perfect book for you. And listen, Don is the expert. He's written the book. He's comprised the stories. He's done the research. And he's going to be able to articulate everything much better than I ever could. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Don, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you so much for being a guest. How are you?
Thank you for having me on board today. And I'll tell you, you did such a good job at that introduction that I'm just going to hang up and go home. I have to go buy this book. You really are good. You should do this for a living. You're really doing a great job promoting the book. And I want to thank you for the time. And go ahead, shoot away. If I have any questions, lay them on me. I'm ready here.
Absolutely. Well, Don, thank you very much. You're too kind. I appreciate that. And listen, I'm just following your lead, man. You've comprised the book. You've put it down. And this is something that offers so much value. And I know I'm going to be taking down some notes as we go, as I'm sure my listening audience is as well. Now, I know we have so much information to cover, Don, but let's hold off slightly before jumping into the book. Start by telling our listening audience a little bit more about yourself and your background, please.
Good question. I have been an entrepreneur. Actually, I started as the IT director of a department store that you probably never heard of because you're too young. Gimbel's Department Store. Did you ever hear of them?
Oh, absolutely.
I told you. Oh, okay.
I'm not that young, Don. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. I was the IT director for Gimbel's Department Store, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia division. Worked for 10 years in information technology, and my job every day was to troubleshoot and figure out what's going to go wrong with computers and data and fire alarm detection systems and security cameras and all of that equipment. And I just went into what I'd call a troubleshooting mode where I could generally walk into a room and tell you what's going right and what's going to go wrong and what we're going to do to prevent it. So what I did was simply apply that information to my book, and I applied it to all the people that I met. At the same time, I had an entrepreneurship that I started where I started installing that equipment for private high-end businessmen. And in doing that, I had a great opportunity to meet people who were entrepreneurs and interview them. I interviewed them, got to know them on a first-name basis. So I went from that. Some of the other things you asked about me, I'll just throw it out here real quick for you. One is that I, of course, learned to fly an airplane. One day I got up and bought an airplane and said, I'm going to learn to fly this thing, learn to fly an airplane. That was fun. Did it with a boat, too. Took it from Annapolis all the way down to Fort Lauderdale. That was a ride. And just decided that you could do anything if you want to, because you just research it, make mistakes, do it again. You can't make a lot of mistakes in an airplane, but you do learn how to do things by trial and error. And most people just don't want to take that first step, and that's all you have to do. Simple as that. So my background, of course, I'll finalize by saying I'm married, been married for 50 years. I shouldn't say that. My wife and I decided to start lying about how long we've been married. And I have 3 children, 2 daughters and a son who are also doing very well in their life, in their careers. That's pretty much everything about me. Nothing special as far as any academic achievements. I was an average student in grade school, high school, but I was a little above average on curiosity and work ethic. I love to work, and I love to take time and figure it out. While the other person goes home, I'm staying there for the next 3 hours and figuring it out, and that's all you need to do.
Let's jump right in. Welcome to Excitement, Belief, and Control. Tell us a little bit more about your book.
Well, what I did is, as I said earlier, I started meeting very high-end businessmen. Of course, I reported directly to the treasurer and the president of the department store at that time. And at the same time, I was meeting businessmen who were starting their own businesses and setting up their houses for communications, telephone systems, security, intercoms, and offices. And I just got to know them all. They all became friends. I made sure they were friends, and we'd have a cup of coffee, talk a little bit, or have a cocktail at happy hour, or go out to dinner. And I just interviewed them, and I listened to them, and I watched them, and I said, you know what? These guys are doing something. They're all doing it differently, but there's a common denominator between these entrepreneurs that makes them go from nothing to millionaires. And if you took them into an environment and took all their money away from them, they would do it again. And by the way, the book does discuss, it's not about money. It's about the excitement of just being able to enjoy life and accomplish what you want to do.
Don, there's so many questions that I really want to go into. And of course, we don't want to give too much away because, guys, you know what you have to do. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, excitementbeliefcontrol.com are the places you have to go. There's no getting around it. But I can't help but want to just jump in and take that leap. Don, I know this is such a broad question, but I'm going to ask it. What makes someone successful, and how do they achieve it?
You know, it's really different people use different techniques. Some are tall and good looking. Others are maybe athletes. Others are maybe super intelligent. Others are just maybe persistent and consistent. And you start looking at all these different people that I had met, and I discovered that there were only 3 words. I kept factoring it down and saying, look, this guy, Frank, he's doing it this way. George is doing it this way. Harry is doing it this way. But they have a common denominator. And being an engineering background, I kept factoring it down. And I said, oh, my God, I've got it down to 3 words. In fact, the title of the book is the whole book, pretty much. Now, the question is, do you want to know how to use the 3 words and how to use the techniques on a daily basis? Then you better read the book, you know. But one common denominator on any businessman, business person, by the way, this isn't just business. If you're just going to an evening out and you want to meet a future spouse, maybe, the same technique works. If you just want to go to McDonald's and get the best burger, same technique works. It's very simple. Number 1, you have to be exciting. Exciting in how you talk, how you look, your mannerisms, how quickly you step to the plate, your conclusions that you're coming to, engaging in conversation with the person that you're dealing with. It's got to be exciting. If it's not exciting, don't even go to steps 2 or 3. You're done. Go home. Okay? So that's number 1. Number 2, excitement's fine, But we know a lot of people that are exciting, and you're like, oh my God, I can't wait till Harry leaves the room. He talks about it himself. It's kind of like, enough about me. Let's talk about you. What do you think of me? That's Harry. But you have to be genuine. You have to be believable. And that is the second trait that you'll see. These multimillionaires are genuine and believable. Or, are you ready for this? They learned how to project it. They actually may not have it, but they have actually learned how to project it. We know a few politicians who could do that. But so it has to be exciting. You have to be exciting. You have to be believable and trustable. And they project that right away when they walk into a room. And number 3, the most difficult one, is control. And when I said to friends and my wife and everybody, control, that sounds like you're trying to be in charge and dictate everything that's being done. That's not true. What we mean by control is what's in it for you, what's in it for me. When are you going to get what you want out of it? When am I going to get what I want out of it? How much am I going to get out of the deal? How much are you going to get out of the deal? When are we going to get it? And how are we going to get the goals accomplished? In other words, control means we mutually both have to win. So that's it. Excitement, belief, control. And we drill down in the book as to how to do that. Simple as that. And each step is rather simple. The book takes 1 hour to read because I don't like filler. I don't like, you get these books and they're like 10,000 pages and they keep repeating themselves. We don't do that. Very simply, in one evening, in 1 hour, you can read the book. You will want to read it over and over again because there's a tendency to forget to use the 3 words. It's like you just, wow, I didn't have a good day. What happened? Oh, back up. Were you exciting? Did you have belief and trust? And did you have control of the outcome on everything you did that day? Simple, huh?
Don, this is wonderful. This is wonderful stuff. And yes, absolutely. Because the way you're articulating it, it appears simple. Now, for my own clarification, so I understand excitement. I understand the control aspect. When you say belief, is it more so you're trying to make other people around you believe, or that individual needs to believe in themselves and what they are doing?
All the above. So the question is belief. And belief is an interesting word because it's not just belief in yourself. For example, let's just take a weight loss program. Person comes on TV and says, I lost 50 pounds in 80 days. And I'm sitting there in the living room, I'm saying, I believe that he lost 50 pounds. I believe that he was able to do it through that weight loss program. But I don't believe that I can do it. So when you're talking about belief, it's a projection of belief that, A, do you believe in me? I believe in you, and I believe the two of us can accomplish things together that we might not have been able to accomplish if we didn't meet. So that belief is an absolute two-way street. And so often, so many businessmen will come up, and they'll be in their Rolls Royce, and they'll be in their beautiful suit, and they'll be going to the greatest places and go, I believe that guy is successful and he can be, but I don't believe I can do it. And that's the difference. You have to be able to project that belief to the people around you that they can do it. And you have to be sincere. When you say belief, it's belief in yourself, belief in your fellow man. So that's part of the formula. That's a very integral part. But here again, to reiterate, 1, are you exciting? If you're not exciting, forget the rest. Go home. 2, do I believe and trust you? And can you project that trust to me and back and forth? And then 3 is control.
Don, next question that I wanted to go into, and I really want to give you an opportunity to dispel any preconceived notions that some people may have. Now, when anybody goes to the Amazon page, Barnes & Noble page, your personal website, they start to do any research on it. We know that the literary world is overwhelmed, I guess, or really oversaturated with self-help narratives. Now, I want to give you the opportunity here, Don. In your opinion, what separates your book from other books in its category?
It's easy. 1 hour read. It's a 1 hour read. And if you're a skimmer and you don't really like to read, you can, the way it's laid out is you can just jump to the topics and go through the topics. In fact, we just said excitement, belief, control. It's a 3-word read, actually. But as you drill down and you learn more and more, you'll go back and read certain sections of the book. But it's quick, and that's absolutely the key. I just see so many front ends and books and centers and examples after examples after examples. You don't need that. You just need a couple of examples to get you on your way. That's all you need to do. And that is the short of it. The other thing that happens, too, is a lot of people are like, every self-help book you get says, write your goals down. Put the goals that you want. I'm not writing my goals down. The reason I don't want to write my goals down is, number one, if I fail, I have documented that I wrote them down and failed. I would rather stay in a world of utopia where I don't realize that I made that mistake. So let's not write our goals down. If you're exciting, if you're believable, and you have control, the goals will come. Don't worry about it. You'll get the goals. But writing the goals down, I'm not all so much for that. That seems to be a pattern that most self-help books go through. We're off that pattern completely.
Great point. Great point. Don, as we start to tie up this fantastic interview, what type of, in addition to, of course, just your overall experience and the conversations that you had with these success people over the years, what type of research did you do in preparation for the book?
The research is very simply a lot of time one-on-one with valid, exciting, believable entrepreneurs who have control of their life, and just spending minutes with them, time with them, and actually documenting everything that happened, everything that they did. Because you remember, this is not so much an academic documentation where we have controlled groups and non-controlled and placebos and all these different things. It's simply experiencing life one-on-one, moment by moment, and seeing what works. So there's no, I'm not a doctor in psychology or anything like that. I just simply watch people. And it's a matter of common sense. And a lot of people say, well, common sense. He has a lot of common sense. And I started researching, what is common sense? Common sense, I discovered, is the result of two components. One, the person has a higher than average academic IQ, frankly, and that can be learned and that can be taught. If you don't have it, you can gain it. And number two, a lot of life experience. And when you put those two together, you end up with, ta-da, common sense. So they say, oh, he has a lot of common sense. There is no common sense. Those are the two. As simple as that. So you can spot it right away. A lot of farmers have a lot of common sense. They have high IQs. They have a lot of work experience. They're just good at what they do. They can come to conclusions very well. And that's because they have common sense.
You know what I love so much about all of this is we're now at the end of the interview. We've discussed a mountain of information, yet we've barely scratched the surface. I mean, we've covered the most important part. And those 3 words, we're going to continue to bring them up. And there's a reason why they're repeated so often. Excitement, belief, and control. If you take nothing else away from this interview today, you take that with you. Because it is so important when it comes to culminating that success. And that one word for me, belief, is something, of course, you need all 3, right? You got to be well-rounded. You have to have all 3 in this equation. But the one that I'm really going to focus on here in my closing statement, you guys know where I'm going with this because I've mentioned it before in previous interviews. I have always been someone that has been a firm believer in your perception creating reality. Guys, even if it's sometimes you got to fake it till you make it, and that's how it starts. But that belief will ultimately start to get set in. And there's almost, for me, I think I started off doing this years ago when I was younger and I was growing up, almost as a survival technique, really to kind of keep myself afloat and, not to get bogged down by things that were happening around me. And it ultimately started to click one day years ago, and the amount of success and happiness that I've been able to achieve since then is astounding. And it is something that I firmly believe, and I have mantras that I go through on a day-to-day basis. And I believe that it does truly help create that reality for me. But again, you can't forget excitement, and you can't forget control. Guys, there's so much more that can be said. I'm not going to say anything else, okay? You know what you have to do. The onus is on you. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever books are sold. Make sure you're checking out his personal site, excitementbeliefcontrol.com. And you pick up the fantastic title, Welcome to Excitement, Belief and Control by Don Hodor. You surely will not be disappointed. Don, this has been such a pleasure, man. Truly an honor. Thank you once again for being a guest with us today on People of Distinction.
It's always fun, and anytime we want to do this again, give me a call and we'll strike it up, okay?